The town of Black Hollow had always been an eerie place, shrouded in mist and whispers of the past. It was the kind of town where secrets stayed buried, sometimes literally. That's why when the girl appeared walking barefoot out of the old graveyard on the outskirts of town, people froze in place. She was young, no more than 16, her dress torn and dirt-streaked, her skin pale as the dead. Her long, dark hair clung to her face, damp with something that glistened under the dim street lights. She didn't speak. She didn't cry for help. She simply walked, and as she did, people who saw her felt something wrong. A chilling familiarity, a sense of déjà vu that made their stomachs twist. They had seen her before, but that was impossible because the girl had died 20 years ago. The first person to recognize her was Mrs. Holloway, the town librarian. She had been closing up her small bookshop when she saw the girl standing outside, staring through the glass with dark, hollow eyes. For a moment, Mrs. Holloway thought it was some trick of the light, but then she stepped closer and gasped. "It can't be," she whispered, clutching her chest, but it was. The girl was Eliza Montgomery, the same Eliza who had vanished 2 decades ago, the same Eliza whose body had been found in the woods, buried in a shallow grave. And yet, here she was, standing outside the shop, staring with an emptiness that sent an icy shiver down Mrs. Holloway's spine. Word spread quickly through the town. Some people locked their doors and refused to look outside, whispering about ghosts and curses. Others gathered in small groups, speaking in hushed voices, trying to make sense of the impossible. But one thing was certain. Eliza was back, and she wasn't alone. Sheriff Dalton had been the one to find Eliza's body all those years ago. He remembered the sight of her lifeless form in the woods, her arms bent unnaturally, her face frozen in an expression of unspeakable terror. He had nightmares about it for years, and now, seeing her standing at the edge of town, her feet bare against the wet pavement, made his skin crawl. "Eliza," he called out, his voice uncertain. She turned slowly, her dark eyes locking onto his. Something was wrong with them, something empty. "They're waiting," she whispered. "Who's waiting?" he asked, stepping closer. But she didn't answer. She turned and walked back toward the graveyard, disappearing into the mist, and Sheriff Dalton, despite every instinct in his body screaming at him not to follow, knew he had no choice. So he went after her. The graveyard had always been a quiet place. The tombstones stood in neat, orderly rows, some so worn by time that the names were barely readable. But tonight, something was wrong. The air was thick with something heavy, something suffocating, the kind of silence that made a man's heart pound against his ribs. And then he saw it. The earth was disturbed. Graves that had been untouched for decades were open. The sheriff's breath caught in his throat. They weren't just open. They were empty. Then came the whispers, low voices slithering through the air like unseen snakes. "We never left." His flashlight flickered, and from the darkness they emerged, not just Eliza, more of them. Pale faces, dark, empty eyes. They had all been dead, and yet here they stood, watching him in the moonlight. Eliza wasn't just a girl who had died. She had been murdered, and she wasn't the only one. For years, Black Hollow had been haunted by disappearances. Men, women, children, all vanishing without a trace. The town tried to forget, to move on, to bury the past. But the past does not stay buried, and tonight, the dead had come back to remember. Sheriff Dalton knew now. This wasn't just a haunting, this was revenge. The people of Black Hollow had turned a blind eye to the truth for years. They had allowed it to happen, pretending they didn't see the warning signs, pretending the missing had simply left. But the dead never forget. "We are still here." The voices swirled around him, cold fingers brushing against his skin. The truth hit him like ice in his veins. The graveyard had never been empty. They had always been here. watching, waiting, and now they had finally decided. It was time for the town to pay. By morning, Eliza was gone. But the town was changed. The graveyard remained, its open grave still there, untouched, as if waiting for something else. And the people of Black Hollow? They knew now. The past never stays buried, and one day the dead will rise again.